Art of Saying No. Introduction. Reclaim your time and stop people-pleasing. Do you constantly find yourself overwhelmed by obligations you never wanted to accept? You are certainly not alone in this exhausting struggle. Damon Zahariades wrote The Art of Saying No for anyone who feels trapped by the relentless disease to please. This incredibly practical guide reveals how constantly agreeing to others' requests quietly destroys your own productivity, mental health, and overall happiness. By diving deep into the psychology behind our irrational fear of refusal, the book provides a clear, actionable roadmap to setting firm, healthy boundaries. You will learn exactly how to confidently turn down unreasonable demands without feeling even a shred of guilt. Ultimately, mastering this simple two-letter word will help you reclaim your precious time and completely transform your daily life.
Point 1. Don't always say yes. You gotta look out for yourself too. Let's dive into a concept that might be a bit tricky to wrap your head around at first. It's the idea that when you're always saying yes to others, you're actually saying no to yourself. Sounds a bit odd, right? But stick with me, and I'll explain. Imagine you're the kind of person who's always there for others. You're the one who steps in to help, no matter what. That's a great quality to have, but it can also mean you're neglecting your own needs and wants. It's like you're always putting yourself at the end of the line. Let's paint a picture. You've got a day all planned out for yourself. You're going to work on a project that's close to your heart, go for a run, and then kick back with a good book. But then, your phone rings. It's a friend asking for help with moving. You don't really want to, you had your day all mapped out. But you feel bad saying no, so you agree. You've just said yes to your friend, but no to your own plans. This doesn't just apply to small, everyday decisions. It can also be about the big stuff in life. Maybe you've always wanted to be a writer, but your folks want you to be a lawyer. If you go along with their wishes and head to law school, you're saying no to your own dreams. This kind of self-neglect can lead to stress, resentment, and a feeling of emptiness. It's like you're living someone else's life, not your own. That's why it's so important to learn to say no. It's not about being selfish or mean. It's about respecting your own needs and boundaries. So, how do you do this? Well, it's about learning to say no in a way that's assertive but respectful. It's about turning down requests or expectations that don't match up with what you need or value. And it's about getting over the guilt or fear that can come with saying no. In a nutshell, it's about learning to value your own time and energy as much as you value others. It's about realizing that it's okay to put yourself first sometimes. And guess what? Doing so can actually make you a happier, healthier, and more effective person. So, next time you're tempted to say yes when you really want to say no, remember, it's okay to put yourself first. Point 2. Saying no can be tough, but it's brave and good for you. Ever thought that saying no could be harder than saying yes? It might sound odd, but it's true. Saying no takes a certain level of self-awareness, self-respect, and bravery that's often harder to summon than the ease of saying yes. Let's dive into this a bit more. Firstly, let's talk about priorities. We all want to be liked, right? So, we often find ourselves saying yes to things, even when they clash with our own needs or goals. But here's the thing, this isn't the best way to go about it. Think about it like this. When you're on a plane, they always tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. Why? Because if you're not looking after yourself, you can't effectively help anyone else. In everyday life, this could mean giving up your own health, time, or dreams to meet someone else's needs. Sure, it's great to be there for others, but not at the cost of your own well-being. This is where the bravery of saying no comes in. It takes guts to put your own needs first and to tell others about it, especially when it might cause disappointment or arguments. Secondly, how you say no is just as important as the decision to say no. People are likely to remember the times you've turned them down, especially if you did it in a harsh or disrespectful way. So, it's super important to say no in a way that's firm but kind. This can be tricky, especially if you're naturally shy or a people pleaser. But don't worry, it's a skill that can be learned and improved over time. The trick is to be straightforward without being rude. This could mean explaining why you're saying no, showing understanding for the other person's situation, and offering other solutions if you can. So, to wrap it up, the bravery to say no comes from recognizing and respecting your own needs and telling others about it in a respectful and kind way. It's a skill that needs practice, but it's super important for looking after yourself and building healthy relationships with others. Point 3. Don't be a pushover just to avoid upsetting people. Let's dive into a concept that's pretty common but often overlooked, the fear of hurting others. It's that nagging worry that you might cause someone else emotional pain, disappointment, or discomfort. This fear can come from all sorts of places. Maybe you've had some past experiences that left a mark, or perhaps it's your personal values or societal expectations that are driving this fear. Now, let's talk about a behavior that often goes hand in hand with this fear, people-pleasing. You know the type, always putting others' needs, wants, and feelings before their own. They're the ones who find it tough to say no, even when it's at the cost of their own time, energy, or well-being. So, how do these two things connect? Well, if you're someone who's really scared of hurting others, you might find yourself always saying yes to things, even when you don't want to or when it's not good for you. That's because saying no might upset or disappoint the other person, and that's exactly what you're trying to avoid. Let's paint a picture here. Say a coworker asks you to take on an extra project. You're already swamped with work, but you agree to do it anyway because you don't want to let them down or cause any friction in your professional relationship. This is a classic example of how the fear of hurting others can lead to people-pleasing behavior. But here's the kicker, this kind of behavior can actually be harmful. When you're always putting others' needs before your own, you can end up feeling burnt out, resentful, and unfulfilled. It can also stop you from standing up for yourself and setting your own boundaries. So, what's the takeaway here? While it's great to be mindful of others' feelings, it's just as important to look after your own needs and well-being. Learning to say no when you need to is a key skill that can help you strike a healthy balance in your relationships and personal life. Point 4. Helping others is great, but not if it's making you unhappy. Let's talk about a concept that might seem a bit odd at first. You know how we're always told that helping others is a good thing, right? Well, what if I told you that sometimes, it's okay to say no? Picture this, you're a parent who's always helping your kids with their homework. You're so wrapped up in their schoolwork that you're missing out on your own professional growth. Maybe there's a new project at work you'd love to take on, or a skill you've been itching to learn. But you can't, because you're too busy helping your kids. In this case, your eagerness to help is actually holding you back. Or, think about a time when you're always the go-to person for favors among your friends. You're always ready to lend a hand, even if it means giving up your own time and energy. Over time, this can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated, as you're always giving but not getting anything in return. This is a classic example of how being too helpful can actually make you unhappy. Now, let's talk about self-worth. If you think your time is less valuable than others, you're more likely to put their needs before your own. This often comes from not feeling good enough about yourself, and it can lead to a cycle where you're always sacrificing your own needs. And then there's the fear of saying no. Maybe you're worried that turning down a request will hurt your relationships or your career. For example, you might be really tired and need a break, but your boss asks you to work overtime. You're scared that saying no could cost you your job, so you agree, even though it's not good for your health. But here's the good news, you can break free from this cycle of always trying to please others. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. By slowly learning to put your needs first and confidently saying no when you need to, you can take back control of your time and energy. And guess what? This can lead to more personal growth and happiness. So, remember, it's okay to say no sometimes. Point 5. Being assertive is easy once you get the hang of it. Assertiveness isn't some mystical trait that only a few possess. It's a skill, and like any skill, you can learn it, practice it, and get better at it. It's all about expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs honestly and openly, while still respecting others' rights and beliefs. It's about standing firm, taking back your time and energy, and not letting others walk all over you, all without feeling a shred of guilt. Let's break it down. Speak your mind. The first step to being assertive is to say what you need or don't want, honestly and directly. For example, if someone asks you to do something and you're already swamped, don't beat around the bush or give vague answers. Be clear and to the point. Say something like, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you with this right now because I'm already committed to other things." This way, you're saving time for both of you and avoiding any misunderstandings or false hopes. No bargaining. The second step is to avoid any kind of bargaining or negotiation. When you say no, mean it. Don't leave any wiggle room for the other person to try and persuade you or convince you to change your mind. For instance, if you're asked to take on an extra project at work but you're already snowed under, don't say, "Maybe I can do it later." This gives the impression that you might be able to do it, leading to more discussions or expectations. Instead, be assertive and say, "I'm sorry, but I can't take on any more projects right now." Be kind. The third step is to be kind, especially when dealing with sensitive people. You don't want to come across as rude or uncaring when you say no. So, instead of bluntly refusing, you can express your inability to fulfill the request in a more considerate way. For example, if a friend asks you for a favor but you can't do it, you can say, "I really wish I could help you out, but I'm tied up with family stuff today." This way, you're not just saying no, but you're also showing empathy and understanding. In a nutshell, assertiveness is about being clear, direct, and respectful in your communication. It's about standing up for yourself and your needs, without feeling guilty or letting others take advantage of you. And like any other skill, once you get the hang of it, it's a piece of cake. Point 6. Change your behavior to take control of your life. In Damon Zahariades' Guide to Mastering Your Life, he presents 2 key strategies: owning your choices and offering alternatives. Let's break these down. First up, owning your choices. It's all too easy to dodge a favor by blaming something else. But let's be real, people can smell a fib a mile away. Instead, Zahariades suggests being upfront about why you can't lend a hand. If your car's on the fritz and you can't help someone out, just say so. That way, it's the situation that's the problem, not you. But here's the kicker: it's totally okay to say no just because you don't want to do something. Maybe you're beat, or you want to spend time with your family, or you just need some me time. Whatever your reason, it's valid. Learning to say no and putting yourself first builds confidence and resilience. It lets you live life on your terms, without feeling guilty or beating yourself up. The second strategy is offering alternatives. This is a great way to help out when you can't do what's asked of you. So, if your neighbor needs help with a home repair and you can't do it, you could suggest a reliable handyman instead. This shows you care and are willing to help in other ways. But Zahariades warns against suggesting someone or something you don't know. The idea is to make life easier for the other person, not send them on a wild goose chase. So, any suggestions should be thoughtful and respectful, not just a way to avoid saying no or to get rid of the person. So, to sum up, mastering your life is about owning your choices, learning to say no when you need to, and offering alternatives when you can't do what's asked. By doing this, you can take back your time and energy, stand your ground, and live life the way you want to. Point 7. Know your strengths and weaknesses. It's your secret weapon. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses is like knowing what weapons you have in a fight. It's about understanding what you're good at and where you might trip up. This knowledge is a powerful tool that can help you tackle life's challenges, including the tricky task of saying no. Let's paint a picture. You've got a coworker who's a pro at passing off their work to others. This person is a weak spot for you because they often try to trick you into doing their tasks. But you've got a secret weapon, your knack for clear and assertive communication. You know you can say no in a way that's firm but polite. This understanding of your strengths and weaknesses gears you up for the encounter, making you confident that you can handle the situation effectively. Keeping a cool head and respectful attitude when saying no is also crucial. This is where your emotional intelligence, a strength, comes into play. You need to keep your emotions in check, making sure you don't react on impulse or come off as rude. Even if the other person doesn't take it well, you should stay composed and respectful. But, let's be real, there will be days when you're not on top of your game. You might be dealing with personal stuff or just feeling wiped out. These are your weak spots, and they can mess with your ability to say no effectively. When you're feeling like this, it's best to take a step back and deal with the request later when you're feeling more up to it. And remember, don't beat yourself up if you sometimes say yes to requests or if someone gets upset when you say no. It's important to remember that you can't control how other people react. You're only responsible for what you do, not how others take it. In a nutshell, knowing your strengths and weaknesses is about understanding what you can and can't do. It's about planning your actions based on this knowledge. This understanding can help you stand your ground, take back your time and energy, and refuse to be taken advantage of, all without feeling guilty. It's about winning your battles, no matter what. Point 8. Conclusion. Asserting your boundaries is a crucial aspect of maintaining your mental health and personal well-being. It's essential to understand that saying no is not a sign of rudeness or selfishness, but a necessary tool for self-preservation. It's about valuing your time, energy, and personal space. Learning to say no effectively can help you reclaim your time and energy, allowing you to focus on what truly matters to you. It's about prioritizing your needs and wants over others' demands and expectations. It's about standing your ground and refusing to be taken for granted. Remember, guilt is a natural response when you start asserting your boundaries, but it's important not to let it control your actions. Instead, use it as a tool to understand your feelings and make better decisions in the future. Saying no is an art that can be mastered with practice and patience. It's about finding the right balance between being assertive and respectful. It's about communicating your needs clearly and effectively without feeling guilty or apologetic. In the end, the art of saying no is about empowering yourself to live a more balanced and fulfilling life. It's about taking control of your life and making decisions that align with your values and goals. So, start practicing the art of saying no today and see the difference it makes in your life.